IHMS English program. This is the International Harari Media Services English program that focuses on different aspects and issues related to Harar and the Harari people, be it social, political, economic, or historical facts. In a nutshell, it deals with everything Harar in conjunction with affairs in Ethiopia. It is intended to reach Harari and non-Harari viewers and audiences alike around the globe. It is informative, educative, and above all, it is meant to present facts and build capacity at all levels. As witnessed by various governments and international organizations, undeniably, Harar is a city-state of peace within the Ethiopian galaxy and the African universe. This program was created to promote peace and humanity to its viewers, allowing them to have people-to-people relationships of peaceful coexistence in Harar and Ethiopia at large. As such, today we have the following episodes for you.
Confederates and ultra-right-wing Ethiopians. What do they have in common? Written by Dr. Abdel Fattah Khalil Aboin, narrated by Shema Mustari Abdel Kabir. Recently, there were many bipolar Ethiopian demonstrations in many cities in Europe, the US, Canada, and Australia. Observing these bipolar demonstrations made me wonder why neutralized or hyphenated Ethiopians who live in the Western world and their descendants split into two groups in the rallies. One group mainly comprised of ethnic Amhara Ethiopians, while the other group was amalgamation of 80+ ethnic Ethiopians. Witnessing such demonstrations made me curious. Asked some close friends and fellow Ethiopians why only ethnic Amhara Ethiopians isolated themselves from the spectrum of 80+ ethnic Ethiopians. Why carry diametrically opposing slogans in the rallies if both were demonstrating for the same cause? Assassination of Hachalu. Why bipolar demonstrations in the name of the singer, songwriter Hachalu, who wrote and sang songs against repressive regimes and anti-democratic elements? He gallantly voiced the liberation of minorities and freedom of Oromos from ultra-right politics and tyrannical systems of governance. Though Hachalu's songs often echo and magnify the demands of the majority of the population in Ethiopia, there must be some hidden agenda, ulterior motives, and ultra sentiments of the ultra-right Amhara Ethiopians to come to such rallies. Though their political ideology is against and contrary to Hachalu's struggle for democratic Ethiopia. In the wake of humanity and Black Lives Matter movement, which was mainly against white supremacy and Confederate ideologies, I was also interested in exploring historical facts of both ultra-right white Americans and ultra-right Amhara Ethiopians. What are the legacies of these two extreme groups? What do historical records and documents reveal about their common characteristics, even though they are worlds apart and in different continents? The ways these extreme groups understand and interpret their collective, cultural, and political histories profoundly affect their sense of identities. The interpretations are hence against the identities of the majority diverse Americans or diverse ethnic Ethiopians. Recent world politics also show the resurgence of Confederates, the rise of right-wing politics, white supremacy, Amhara supremacy or Naftanya, with hate speech and effectively advocating the politics of ethnic and religious cleansing in Ethiopia, as were done in Bosnia, Serbia, Myanmar, and China. Examples are bound to show various hate and bigotry messages from ultra-right, orthodox, and state media.
በመላ ሀገሪቱ 500 አዳዲስ መስጊዶች ተሰርተዋል። ከነዚህም ጋር 47 እስላማዊ ትምህርት ቤቶች፣ 97 የቁርአን ትምህርት ቤቶች ተከፍተዋል። በ1998 ዓመት የተሰሩትን ሳይጨምር በአዲስ አበባ 160 መስጊዶች ይገኛሉ። ያሉት አብያተ ክርስቲያናት ግን 114 ብቻ ናቸው። የሙስሊሙንና የክርስቲያኑን ቁጥር በአዲስ አበባ ከመስጊዱና ቤተክርስቲያኑ ጋር ስናነጻጽረው የሚከተለውን መልክ ይሰጠናል። ኦርቶዶክስ ከአዲስ አበባ 86.7% ይይዛል። የቤተክርስቲያኑ ቁጥር ግን 114 ነው። እስላም ከአዲስ አበባ ህዝብ 12% ብቻ ይይዛል። የመስጊዱ ቁጥር ግን 160 ነው። ከላይ ከተጠቀሱት 160 መስጊዶች መካከል ከ130 በላይ የሚሆኑት ባለፉት 14 ዓመታት የተሰሩ ናቸው። ይህ ሁሉ እየተደረገላቸው ሙስሊሞች ተጨቆነዋል እያሉ በየአረቡ ዓለም መጮህ ነው። ከአዲስ አበባ ወደ ሐዋሳ መንገድ ስትጓዙ ሰው በሌለባቸው አካባቢዎች እንኳን ሳይቀር መስጊዶች በየ5 እና 10 ኪሎ ሜትር ርቀት ተገንብተዋል። ባሌ ውስጥ 10,000 የማይሞሉ ሙስሊሞች ባሉበት በኮኮሳ ቀበሌ ብቻ 60 መስጊዶች ከ200 በላይ የመድረሳ ትምህርት ቤቶች በቅርብ ዓመታት ተሰርተዋል። ወሎ መካነ ሰላም ውስጥ በአንድ ወረዳ በአንድ ባለ ሀብት ብቻ 60 መስጊዶች ተሰርተዋል። አጋራ ከተማ 7 መስጊዶች ተገንብተዋል። ደሴ በሀገረ ስብከቱ ፊት ለፊት መስጊድ ለመስራት በሙግት ላይ ናቸው። ሀገሪቱን ለመቆጣጠር ባላቸው የረጅም ጊዜ ዓላማ መሰረት ተከታዮቻቸው ከሳዑዲና መሰል ሀገሮች አክራሪዎች በሚመጣ ገንዘብ ድጋፍ በኢኮኖሚ የበላይነቱን የመያዝ እንቅስቃሴ በማድረግ ላይ ናቸው።
Looking at the political patterns in the US and Ethiopia, it is not hard to find some common characteristics of Confederates and ultra-right-wing Ethiopians, locally known as Naftanyas, which drive them against the majority of the population, human rights, and equities in their respective country. From their own archives, here are some shared political history, common characteristics, views, entities, and agendas of these extreme political groups globally. Number 1. Confederates. What are Confederates? Confederates are persons who work with, specially in something secret or legal, or persons who are accomplices in illegal political and social activities. What is Confederate flag? Confederate flag is a common white supremacist symbol. It is known as the rebel flag, which is highly divisive and polarizing symbol in the United States. It is a hate symbol against non-white majority or diverse population in the US. What are Confederate States of America? These were 7 Confederate states, or commonly known as Confederacy, that was not recognized as a breakaway state that fought against the United States central government during the American Civil War. The actual Confederate States of America was a group of states devoted to white supremacy. What are some characteristics of Confederates and their objectives in politics? The Confederates built an explicitly white supremacist, pro-slavery, and anti-democratic nation, dictated to the principle that all men are not created equal. The Confederacy advocated centralized policy, devoted to securing a society in which enslavement to white people was the permanent and inherited condition of all people of African descent. The Confederacy had xenophobic and Islamophobic policies of systematic discriminations and eliminations of non-white identities. The Confederacy upheld melting pot policy, which was one flag, one language, one culture, one religion, one color, and one race society. The Confederacy believed the whites were pure and chosen race, while any other race were impure and secondary. The Confederates were responsible for many disappearances, lynching, rapes, kidnappings, and deaths of natives and black people. They are squarely responsible for all inhumane political activities in the history of USA.
I can walk with snow camp and I go to
2, Naftanyas, or ultra-right-wing Ethiopians. What are ultra-right-wing Ethiopians, or who are Naftanyas? Ultra-right-wing Ethiopians, or locally known as Naftanyas, are persons who emulate and desire to resurrect the characteristics of Ethiopia's imperial regimes and advocate legacies of feudal regimes. The Naftanyas ran centralized Ethiopian imperial affairs using guns and rifles and controlling conquered periphery of the 80-plus ethnic Ethiopians. They imposed forcefully and systematically Amhara domination in creating one empire, one language, one culture, and one religion, an ideology known as Amharization of the 80-plus ethnics in Ethiopia. Who are Amharas? Amharas are an Ethio-Semitic speaking ethnic group, traditionally inhabiting parts of the northwest highlands of Ethiopia, particularly in the Amhara region, but scattered all over Ethiopia since the advent of Emperor Menelik II in 1880s. Today, many ethnic Amharas view Emperor Menelik as a symbol of triumph and defiance of European colonialism, as well as a hero who conquered the 80-plus ethnic Ethiopians and partially achieved Amharization in establishing the 19th century Ethiopia. While many other ethnic Ethiopians, including the Oromos, consider Menelik as the root cause of their social and cultural subjugations, deprivation, as well as religious iniquities. Which flag represents the Ethiopian peoples? According to Ethiopian Federal Constitution, the national flag symbolizes the honor and beauty of the Ethiopian nation. Green represents the fertility of the country, yellow, the religious freedom found there, and red, the life sacrificed in the protection of the national integrity. The emblem at the center has a radiant star with equidistant rays to show the equality of all ethnic groups as well as creed and gender equality. The shining rays from the star testify to a bright future for Ethiopia, and surrounding the emblem is a blue background denoting peace and democracy in Ethiopia. However, in defiance and against representation of 80-plus ethnic Ethiopians, the Naftanyas adore or opt for the plain flag, green, yellow, and red with no emblem, which symbolizes one culture, one language, one religion, and unitary constitution monarch. No wonder the bipolar demonstration in the cities and Amharas being by themselves on the other side of attempting to revive the old politics of assimilation rather than outcrying for Hachalo's assassination. What are some characteristics of Naftanya's objectives and contributions in Ethiopian politics? The founder of Naftanya regime. Emperor Menelik was the founder of Naftanya regime in Ethiopia. In late 19th century, roughly at the same time as the scramble for Africa, Emperor Menelik forcefully incorporated independent ethnic minority kingdoms and Oromo territories into his nascent empire. He was a conqueror and occupier who annexed various minority and Oromo territories in the 19th century using rifles, hence the name Naftanya, forcing peasants to work for elite Amhara masters. Referring to Professor Muhammad Hassan's book, the Naftanya system was profoundly pro-slavery and used mostly Oromos as black or red Oromo slaves working in Amhara elite farms and households, respectively. Anale and Chilenko massacres. In the process of confiscating lands and incorporation of various ethnic kingdoms into the Ethiopian Empire, Menelik and his Naftanya entourage massacred 12,000 RC Oromos and over 10,000 Hararis, Somalis, Afar, and Hararge Oromos at the Chilenko battle. Similar massacre in Walaga, Jimma, Wollo, and southern territories. The right hands and right breasts of men and women were mutilated, which created unforgettable ethnic and historical trauma for these ethnic Ethiopians. Destructions of mosques and venerated Islamic cities. All Islamic religious activities and the rights to practice were declared illegal across Imperial Ethiopia. Islamic structures, monuments, libraries, and traditional cities were either destroyed or converted to Orthodox churches. To mention few, converted the Grand Bazir or Al-Kawthar Mosque to Orthodox Medhanalim Church. أو جبجب made Sheikh religious shrines to Trinity Orthodox Church, Sheikh Jibril Shrine and Educational Center to Orthodox Kulubi Gabriel Church, and many more across the country. Methodical destruction of Islamic schools and educational collections. Archives belonging to Islamic communities of Harar, Arsi, Bale, Wallo, Jimma, Silde, Gurage, and many more records spanning 800 years were destroyed. Islamic manuscripts were deliberately collected from households and religious shrines and were completely burned. Islamic schools at all levels were converted to secular schools. Islamic scholars were incarcerated and massacred. Refer to a book entitled Sos to Adzewoj and Ethiopian Muslims for complete information on how the three imperiors executed Ethiopian Muslims and destroyed Muslim entities in the last 150 years. State religion. Ethiopian Orthodox Church was inextricably linked to imperial regimes. Ethiopian Orthodox Church was state religion until the fall of Haile Selassie in 1974. The regimes ignored the majority Ethiopian Muslim population. Unitary Naftanya monarchy forcefully emerged as Ethiopian national identity from 1884 to 1974. The current ultra-right Ethiopians could not get over such imperial nostalgia and hangovers, and therefore diametrically opposing the current federal systems of governance that upholds the right of diverse and multi-religious peoples of Ethiopia. In addition, both Confederate and Naftanya systems of governance have left various statues and monuments in remembrance of their so-called patriots, though they mercilessly rioted the rights of majority, indigenous, and ethnic minorities. In fact, most statues and monuments are symbols of repression, cultural holocaust, and genocide. They were erected without the consent and any input of the surrounding people. Do you know that over 1,500 Confederate symbols still stand in the US, including the statue of Columbus, the first invader of the natives? Do you also know that Menelik and Haile Selassie were the two imperiors who terrorized and assimilated most ethnic minorities and the Oromos in Ethiopia? And over 100 symbols are still found across the country, including new ones in the National Palace? Obviously, for the repressed majority, these monuments symbolizes injustices, indignity, agony, and no respect for diversity. Also, similar to world events, it is time to dismantle, topple, remove, and replace some memorials of tyrants so that true reconciliation will start to coexist as diverse Ethiopia. In fact, as lessons from Jew Holocaust memorials around the globe, we need to erect memorials as tribute to Oromos, Somali, Afar, Harari, Sidama, Silde, and many more martyrs in the cities of regional states of Ethiopia. The symbols will sustain indigenous peoples' thinking, their cultures, and establish unity with diversity. Last words, but not least. With the current deep concerns of the rights of humankind and identity consciousness around the globe, there is no turning back to Confederate and Naftanya systems of governance in both countries. Notably, immigrants, minorities, and indigenous peoples have for so long endured profound social disruptions, including forced relocations, cultural holocaust, and genocide. Such oppressive systems of governance have left deep emotional scars on survivors and their generations. They have created enduring obstacles to political reconciliation and human rights among several ethnic groups. The historical traumas are already paramount, and there is no turning back to recreate and restore acrimonious systems. The only way forward is to get rid of seeds of assimilation, marginalization, and systematic discriminations. With the advent of globalization and the current high level of humanity mindset, the majority have decided to be more vigilant and resilient to cultural genocide and political viruses. All repressed groups have decided to overcome such political and social challenges. Fighting injustices have become a norm to achieve sense of well-being and restoration of dignity and identity. No more experiences of cumulative stress, racism, cultural bereavement, and genocide. No more generalized, internalized, and institutionalized systematic discriminations. We, the diverse peoples of the world, including Ethiopia, our aspiration for equity and to live in unity must be kept alive at all times. Assalamu alaikum.
IHMS